All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Amazin City with your hosts, as always, Antonio Slater and Jack Ramsey. Jack, you're in a new location. Where exactly are you right now, bud?
I'm about 10 miles east of Clover Park, down here in Port St. Lucie. It's a 2:59 right now,
Mm-hmm.
and head out to the ballpark around 4:30 for tonight's 6:10 game.
Very nice.
Tonight's
But
gonna be
tonight,
unevent.
yeah,
Tonight's uneventful.
tonight's not the main event in Port St. Lucie. That is definitely tomorrow. There's no point in
Yeah,
burying the
fireworks
lead.
night.
Oh, actually, you know what? Then you know what? Scratch that. Tonight is a big night in
No,
Port St.
tomorrow night's
Lucie.
fireworks night too.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
It's gonna be a sold out crowd.
yeah. No point in bearing the lead here tomorrow. They made it official before that Jacob deGrom will indeed start his rehab assignment tomorrow at 2:10, I believe is the
6:10.
6:10. So not even close.
Yeah, they lined it up with fireworks night because all minor league teams have Mondays off this year.
Gotcha.
They
Yeah,
do
so
straight 6-game series,
that's
Tuesday
wild.
through Sunday. Makes travel a lot easier, cuts down expenses. Play
That's
a
true.
little bit more to play.
But
I think everyone plays on Monday this year because it's the fourth
more importantly,
for
Jacob
this
deGrom,
week.
the two-time Cy Young Award winner, is nearing his return. The Mets learned that Max Scherzer will be back on Tuesday against Cincinnati. Jacob deGrom is on his way back. He'll probably have 3 to 4 rehab starts, so he'll be back either right
My
before the
guess
All
would
Star
be
break or
four.
right after.
My guess would be
Yeah,
four.
yeah.
I think
So
given the when his in spring training his injury occurred and the nature of it, being how weird of an injury it was, wouldn't be shocked if they give him four.
right,
And just looking at it, you're either giving him two or four
I would agree.
because the third rehab start would falls on the day before the All Star break.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really, or the fourth rehab start falls on that day. So if you do that, you can line up your rotation, whatever you want coming out of the break, because he would be lined up to pitch that first game out.
So I'm wondering if they kind of do. Looking back at what Scherzer said, and after the first rehab start, where he said that as long as I can go out there and give 5 competitive innings, I'm willing to be back up there and be with the big league club and help the team win. So I'm wondering if they kind of do the same kind of approach with deGrom, where build them up so we can go the 5-6 innings at first, then bring him back up, take that All-Star break so we can kind of go back full bore, or give him those 4 rehab starts so then he can immediately come back in the rotation and beat Jacob deGrom, where he's going 7-8 dominant innings every time. I'm kind of curious to see how they go about it.
I think the smart thing to do, given now that that's the best way to put it, he's an injury prone guy.
Right.
I think you have to give him the 4. I also don't think we can sit here and act like there isn't a possibility of a setback.
Sure.
Because we saw this last year. Syndergaard's back at the All-Star break. Carrasco's back first week in May. Cookie didn't make it back till, I think, after the All-Star break or around there.
Right.
Syndergaard made one start and then dipped for LA. So we these things happen. I think 4 is the best way to go because, again, that does line him up for the first Monday or for the first game. I think it's a Thursday or a Friday. I think it's a Friday out of the All-Star break. And you can then set your rotation however you want with deGrom leading the game out.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows you to best set yourself up for that first Atlanta series you have coming out of the break.
Yeah, I think you want to
the
have
reality is
you want to have your guys back.
You need deGrom and Scherzer pitching in that series.
Yeah, you do.
Even if you're going 4 innings at deGrom and you're piggybacking him with Peterson or Williams or whatever you decide, you need them. If they are both on the roster, you need them both pitching in that series, point blank, no questions asked.
Without question. Yeah, without question. You can't go into a series with Atlanta because at that point, we don't know what the division lead is going to be because we started
3.5
June
right now.
Yeah, we started June at 10.5 and now we're at 3.5. So who knows? You want your top guys there because they're going to have their top guys. You're going to have Morton. You're going to have Fried. You're going to have, I guess, Kyle Wright at this point. For Atlanta,
or by then, that's a week and a half out from the deadline. Like you don't know.
That's another great point. Who knows? One of these teams might make a trade for Castillo or Montas, one of these top guys on the market. So you want your top guys to match up. But honestly, and we talked about this before this over recording, we just need to kind of talk about the state of the pitching staff. This team is not where it's at without the pitching. And you have deGrom and Scherzer, who have been out for most of the year. Then they're coming back. And now McGill's been out for a majority of the year. He's trying to work his way back. David Peterson and Trevor Williams have been godsends to this team. David Peterson with another 10 strikeout performance yesterday, consecutive starts without any walks. What more can you ask for from David Peterson? I don't know what more you want. I'm assuming just by your face. Did you see the Kevin Gausman thing again?
No, we were talking about guys who are absolute units before the show. Okay. Josh Naylor.
Big boy.
That's a big boy who just took a fastball at his eyes and parked it 415 feet.
Yeah.
108 off the bat.
Yeah, they didn't do much after that, but yeah, that was
it's the Yankees. What do
that
you
was a
say?
tank job.
But no, I mean I've said it in a couple episodes before. Granted, I said that before the Dodgers series, and Williams wasn't great, and Peterson didn't even make it 4 innings. You don't know where this team is without guys like that.
Right.
I think we stressed coming into the year after seeing how we were last year. I drove down at midnight to St. Lucie, and I was listening to our podcast on the way because I don't like to read what I write after it's published, and I don't like to listen to myself on our podcast after it's up. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, so I listened to
It's
it just to
hearing your
hear
own voice. It's weird.
Yeah. So I listened to it just to I just needed to stay awake going down the Florida Turnpike at 1:30 in the morning. And, we were talking, where is this team without David Peterson and Trevor Williams? And I feel like we say it every episode. But I think
true.
But no, it's probably the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team to this point. Is last year's team was also ravaged by injuries to starting pitching. You were down, deGrom was leaving starts early. You were down Carrasco. You were down Syndergaard. You were down Lugo. You had other smaller injuries here and there. You didn't know how long Taijuan Walker was going to hold up. So it makes sense to put an emphasis on the depth for starting pitching. And that, I think, is the biggest difference of this year's team to last year's team is that your 7 and 8 are turning in quality to above average MLB starts.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's I think you said back-to-back starts with no walks for Peterson.
Yep.
And I think that's back-to-back starts with 9 Ks at least.
I'm not sure what he had.
Might even be
prior start.
It might even be 3 in a row.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he did in his prior start, but
he's
season high 10 strikeouts.
He looks like a solid number 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah,
and I think the scary thing
he's got a borderline ERA under 3. He's been tremendous.
He's been fantastic. And I was a little worried after the Dodgers game when Buck pulls a mid at bat.
Right.
Because he just looked pissed as piss could be coming off the mound.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Buck isn't Callaway. He's not Rojas. It's a completely different style of managing and completely different way of handling people.
Yeah, he read that swing from Mookie. He's like, all right, let's
But what I'm trying to say is I think that's a spot where in years past Peterson's like, you know what, fuck this guy. I'm fine. I'm pitching great. Let me figure this out. I'm a major league pitcher. This is my 3rd year. Let me figure it out. And it just hasn't happened in years past.
Right.
But so to have that type of moment where he looks pissed. That is a very large pissed off man coming off that mound in LA. But to not let that affect him, to not have a step back, because I think that's a moment where some guys might have a step back, who might come back to earth a little bit. But then to keep on churning out the starts he's putting in is nuts.
Right.
Then you have Williams, who in his starts at home has been impeccable.
He's just been steady.
I think I forget. It might have been Philly, a start at home. But I think it was the last start at home before LA. I think he had 13 whiffs, 14 whiffs in 5 innings, something like that. But for a guy like Trevor Williams, it's not like Trevor Williams is Chris Bassett or Jacob deGrom.
Right.
Or Max Scherzer, whoever. That's your 8th starter / swing man out of the pen. That is your Carlos Torres. But he's going out getting 13, 14, 15 whiffs in 5 shutout innings. The most nuts thing about this team right now is that your 8 and your 9 starters are pitching 4 and 5s.
Right. And that really goes to show just this. And I listen, I've said this a lot. I need to take back a lot of the things I've said about Buck Showalter and his staff before the year, because I was wrong. I was just flat out wrong. I thought it was just the old
boys
man's
back
club
together,
just trying to get one more shot at a ring. But turns out he put together a quality staff that not only helped the team improve on the field, but also, and here comes, I'm going to go with another one of these cornball sayings again, but also improve between the ears, where their mentality is just so much better this year. Because like you said, if this is last year, this is 2 years ago, you take out David Peterson or whoever mid at bat after a 400-foot foul ball home run, they're going to be pissed. Their mentality is going to be all shook, and who knows what's going to happen after. There might be a downward spiral. We might have to option David Peterson after that. But now, just based on what's going on with this year and this team, that ever since that happened, he's been pitching like a borderline ace. Again, He's going 2-3 starts without giving up walks, without giving up that much base runners. He's getting swings and misses. That slider has been, I mean, it's the best slider I've ever seen from David Peterson. It's something that Jeremy Hefner must have really put an emphasis on because the sliders from this staff this year have been stupid. Edwin Diaz's slider is the best it's ever looked.
Yeah,
David Peterson is the best.
Wait until you get Jacob deGrom's back in.
And we haven't seen Jacob deGrom this year. People have asked me if I'm worried about the Braves, and listen, don't get me wrong. The Braves are a good team. We knew this was going to happen at some point. They were going to turn around. They're the reigning World Series champions for a reason, right? But we're talking about a team that just had the best month in franchise history, and the Braves have been around for a very, very long time. They just had the best month in franchise history, had a 16-game winning streak, and they didn't take over first place. And that's without Max Scherzer, without Jacob deGrom, without Tyler McGill, without Colin Holderman, without Trevor May. Brandon Nimmo had to miss a couple games. Pete Alonso has missed a game.
Broken finger, Francisco Lindor.
Francisco Lindor still has a fracture in his hand, and he's playing every day.
I'm looking at the David Peterson game logs. He's only 2 starts this year. He's allowed 4 earned or more. And both of them were 4 earned. Gives you a shot
to win.
Those are 4 earned. Since his, I mean, I don't even know if you can call it like a clunker against the Milwaukee. 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. And his 3 starts since he went
4
5
runs, and how many innings was that?
4.
I mean,
in his 3 starts since 5 1/3 against Miami, 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Then he goes 7 full against Miami, 4 hits, 2 earned, a homer, no walks, 8 Ks. Then last night, 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 homers, no walks, 10 Ks. You come into this year.
What's his ERA right now?
3.24.
If you told me on July 2nd.
I think that was start number 10 too.
Right. If you told me on July 2nd of 2022 that David Peterson would be giving
60 innings in
10 starts, 60 innings with a 3.24 ERA, backflips. I'm doing backflips.
Well, you come into this year, you go into camp thinking, all right, deGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, Carrasco, Walker. Then you have McGill. You probably have Williams. And you have Peterson.
Yeah, I think going into this year,
those two
Trevor Williams was probably above David Peterson on the
just given his contract.
Exactly, his contract and his track record as a big league starter. He's done this before. Right. We've only seen one good year out of Peterson. That was in 2020.
Right, and even like last year, like he had his moments, then he'd turn around and get demolished by the Diamondbacks.
Right.
So stupid. Your 7th or 8th best starter is doing what he's doing. And I think you might groan a little bit when I say this. I think you do have to give some other credit where other credit is due to the rotating door of decision makers last year in the front office. Because I think Mets of years past do have a tendency to sell off their depth and important pieces in reactionary in the moment moves.
Yeah.
I do think you have to somewhat, and I think it would have been easy to get rid of David Peterson after last year.
It would have been very easy.
He was hurt, but he still has enough control, and the pedigree is a first-round pick who has flashed in the major leagues that can be attractive to teams. You have to give credit to Sandy Alderson.
Yeah.
For hanging on to Peterson.
Would have been very easy to let go of him for a bullpen arm.
You could have moved. I mean, I think Mets fans are somewhat turning into Yankee fans with just trade Dom and JD and a prospect for Frankie Montas. I think Mets fans are somewhat turning into that. But people were calling for him to be gone. People were calling for McNeil to be gone.
Yeah.
And I think those two are the two guys, obvious ones aside. Like if you think of like guys who have held this team together, you don't know where you are without Jeff McNeil. And I don't think you know where you are without David Peterson.
Without David Peterson, who's making these starts?
Thomas Szapucki.
Right. And we saw how that went.
Thomas Szapucki, Trevor Cahill was getting his tits slit in AAA.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Montgomery.
No thanks.
You ever heard of a Tim Adelman?
Can't say I have. You might have Tommy Hunter making starts for you. Let's be honest.
Let's talk about the bullpen for a second.
Let's talk about the bullpen.
You clearly still miss Colin Holderman.
Yeah.
Tommy Hunter has looked good.
It's looked great. Super
small sample size, but he looked good in AAA. He's looked very solid. So I think that could be a decent. We talk about the back end of your bullpen is probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
Diaz is good. I mean, they clearly just have Holderman on one of those. Your rehab's over, but we're still gonna let you.
We're rehabbing you on your rehab.
Yeah. rehabbing you on an option. So you have, in theory, when he's healthy, Holderman to go along with Diaz, Smith, and currently Lugo.
Right.
So those are probably.
And then you have Ottavino, who
right, Ottavino. Out of him. No, I mean, I think he's solid. Yeah. I don't think he's a guy who you can be readily running out in the 7th and 8th inning in major playoff implication games. So you clearly, we've said before, you need to add an arm there.
Right.
So in front of that, you have Joely, you have Tommy Hunter, and when he's back, you'll have Trevor May.
Mm-hmm.
But I think,
and then way down there is Jason Shreve.
Well, that's my next point. Is you would think, all right, seven guys. Like if you have a solid 7 guys, you should be fine. I think you're at a point now where your biggest need on this team is just replacing Jason Shreve.
Yeah.
I mean, Joely Rodriguez, I think, is a solid major league lefty out of the pen.
He's been so much better since the end of April.
He has been a solid major league lefty. Mm-hmm. But I think you're at a point, and just knowing what we know about Joely and how much we've seen him so far this year, he's not the guy you can run out every time against Freddie Freeman in the Dodgers.
Right.
Against, if you want to flip Olsen around.
Right.
Or when we're playing Philly and you've got Schwarber or Harper. Atlanta loses a game in late September and you're playing the Nationals, you need to get this win. Are you comfortable running Joely against Soto 10 out of 10 times?
No.
I'm comfortable doing it. You're not comfortable doing it every time.
No, definitely not. Definitely.
So the biggest need for this team right now is I think you need a lefty that you can slot into that back group of Lugo, Diaz, Smith, Holderman, Ottavino, whatever, and to replace Jason Shreve. Because I'll admit I was wrong about Shreve. I mean, it's been a dumpster fire. He started off solid in his first 7-8 appearances, and it's just been crap since.
Ever since the Winker home run, he's been, I can't even say a shell of himself because that's putting it lightly. He's been borderline unusable.
No, it's unpitchable.
Yeah, he's got like I can't remember the exact number, but I think he's got like a 10.5 ERA or something like that in his last 10 appearances. He's been so bad. And that was something that I had an issue with going into the year, is that your top lefty was chasing Shreve going into the season. And that's not going to be good enough to win a title. I'm sorry.
No, and I think we all knew that you were going to have to try and replace or add to Shreve as the year goes on.
Yeah.
But it's coming. The need to add a lefty has shown itself quicker than I think a lot of people anticipated.
Since the Winker
I think if anything, you would have thought it was the other way around. They're like, all right, yeah, Shreve's solid. He's good, but man, Joely.
Since the Winker home run, in 14 and a third innings, he's allowed 21 hits, 17 earned runs, 11 strikeouts, 8 walks, 6 homers for a 10.67 ERA. Is that good?
Maybe for you and me.
Batting average against of 333, opposing slugging of 1,043.
Here you go. I got something for you.
That's just not going to cut it.
From Laura Albanese of New Day. Epler said the Mets are looking at additions in both run prevention and creation, implied the Mets have plenty of financial flexibility, though obviously some prospects are about as close to off limits as can reasonably be.
Right.
So you're probably looking at Beatty, Alvarez off limits. So
yeah.
So
Epler
so I'll ask you.
Alluded to, like, there are some guys that they're going to be willing to let go, but some guys are just, it's going to be hard to pry away from. And that's the Alvarez's, the Beatty's, depending on what pack you're talking about, Mauricio. But I think Mauricio can be, for the right package, Mauricio can be had.
I would be more surprised if he's with the team after the deadline than I would be if he got moved.
Okay.
I mean, the power's developing.
Right.
And that's a big step for him because I've basically lost all hope in him developing an eye. So the next point is, all right, well, if you're not going to develop an eye, you got to develop some pop. And he's probably going to push 20 home runs this year.
Right.
Which, still young. No, I mean, yeah, for like a 21-year-old shortstop in Double-A, there's, I think, a lot of potential there. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of guys that fill the TJ Rivera offensive mold
Right.
of if you're making contact and you are finding green, you're going to be really damn good.
Right.
But it's like
hello.
Right, but it's like the reverse of Michael Conforto. Like even when Conforto was slumping and he knew it, he would be more open to taking his walks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more selective, just get on base.
Right.
It's like the opposite of that, the antithesis to that. Of if you are not finding your base hits, you are borderline unplayable.
Yeah.
But I think the upside is there enough for Mauricio that I don't even think it's necessarily like one of those like, oh, like in the right package. Like you have these guys, the likes of a Vientos and a Mauricio, that are just in such a weird spot because the one tool that's holding them back is such a glaring holdback.
Right.
Like for Vientos, it's the defense. If Mark Vientos could play slightly below average defense, he'd be a top 30 prospect in baseball.
Right.
But he can't.
He's been without a position his entire career as a prospect.
No, I mean, he started. I don't even know how he played shortstop in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he came out of the draft as a shortstop that everyone knew immediately needed to move to third. Then he immediately needed to move to first, then to left and right field. And it's unplayable. So
he's someone that's going to benefit from the universal DH.
Absolutely. And I think that being an institution helps his trade status somewhat.
Right.
Because you're not going to be like trading him to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's like, well, shit. Like it just makes him more attractive to more teams.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also don't think a lot of teams in the National League necessarily have taken the approach of, all right, well, let's have an everyday like guy we pencil in a DH. You know, so unless you're in a spot.
Talking about these guys, we might as well talk about when they're going to get called up. When can we potentially see these guys? I think Vientos is probably the first one up there, but I don't think we see him unless the Mets make a move like a trading a JD Davis.
I don't think we see him, period.
Really? Okay.
Because I think one of the biggest questions with Vientos right now is how close is he?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen with Jared Kelnick, you can just murder AAA pitching and have an entire online community of just baseball fans bully your front office into calling you up, and then you suck for 2.5 years.
Right.
Or a year and a half, and you're just not good.
Right.
So I think the question is to what extent is Vientos close?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's not going to be hitting, I think it's 13 homers in 30 games in the major leagues, or 34 games.
Right.
He's not going to be doing that in Queens. Not right off the bat. But it's more of you don't want him to get exposed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, I mean, obviously major league short samples, like small sample sizes don't move the needle. But you also don't want, you know, as a 24-year-old kid, you don't want him in a spot where he's getting exposed and then getting traded.
Right.
So I think the way the Mets go with it, I mean, if I had to honestly guess, they see how the deadline goes. There's not a lot of great bats on the market. Mm-hmm. I mean, Josh Bell, Nelson Cruz, CJ Cron, Brandon Drury, guys are having good years. But it's just a question of, okay, well, like, do these guys really move the needle?
Right.
I think the answer for the most part is no.
They help.
Yes, these are guys you're slotting in as your fourth, fifth best bat.
Right.
I mean, no matter who, I don't think there is anyone the Mets can add where I'm like, all right, this guy changes everything.
There's not a UN Cespedes on the market.
No, there's no Cespedes. There's no Javi Baez.
No JD Martinez from Arizona to Arizona a couple years ago. There's no guy like that available that we know of. There might be a move that kind of comes out of nowhere, but like Juan Soto's not getting moved.
No, Juan Soto's not getting moved. You know, I think if the Giants decide to sell, I think a guy like Peterson probably becomes the best bat in the market.
Without question.
You know, maybe if the Giants eat a bunch of money, you can find some framework for Longoria that works.
Is Jesse Winker the best bat on the market?
No. Because he's unplayable against lefties.
I understand that.
I think if you bring in Jesse Winker, I think you're more so saying, I don't want Mark Canha taking massive at bats in October. So I think a guy like that is possible.
Right.
But like, I think it's just we're at a point right now where if
not even to replace Mark Canha, but more so as a DH. Listen, Dom, I love you, buddy, but you're hitting like 180.
I think the most realistic scenario for the Mets is you try and see what's out there, and if you can't massively upgrade enough at the deadline, or you can't like find a deal for a reliever where you can move JD, then I think maybe we see Vientos afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more of an August guy, and we've seen it before.
Yeah,
we've seen it before. It would just I think Vientos is more so. All right, if we don't move him and we don't find our guy at the deadline, like I think if Jock Peterson becomes available, that's their guy.
Right.
If Jock Peterson becomes available, you slot him in at DH, and he's hitting 5 every game.
Right.
He's sliding in behind Pete.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I'm gonna guess they try and move JD to open up for Vientos, because at the bare minimum, they're the same guy. If you're looking at the mold of them, they are the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
At the absolute worst.
Right.
So I think you probably still try and move him in a deal for a reliever just to supplement prospect cost. You know, because it's still some contract. I mean, it's the same. He's in the same boat as Dom. They have shown in major league seasons what they can do, but it more so might be a change of scenery type of thing. You know, like we saw with Matt's last year, he just needed to move to Toronto, and Toronto worked well for him.
Sure.
And it was showing again what we've seen in the bigs from him before.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had to guess, if they don't find something they like in terms of adding a DH, I think they try and move JD in a deal for a reliever and replace him with Vientos.
So like the one that's kind of been floating around a little bit is, and it makes sense because Buck managed this guy, is Trey Mancini plus a reliever. Where do you stand on that? How does that? Because I like that move.
So like theoretically,
like
a Trey Mancini and a Zach Pop. No,
sure.
he's in Miami now.
Like the Jorge Lopez that I put out.
Yeah, Jorge Lopez, sure.
I mean, granted, he gave up a walk off the Buxton yesterday, but
I think I like it. I think Mancini's a good move. I mean, he's automatically I think whatever bat you add is more often than not, unless they come with a premier glove, that is your DH.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are teetering at the point of the next bat they bring in is going to get JD out of town, and then probably going to send Escobar to the bench. Because I think you're at a point now where you run
more so against righties, because he's still good against lefties, but against righties, not so much.
I think it depends on who you bring in.
Yeah.
But even then, I think you're at a point right now where you have to run McNeil at second and Guillorme at third.
I'm sorry. They're putting up the players of the month. No shocker, Kyle Schwarber won NL Player of the Month again because he turns into the second coming of Jesus Christ in the month of June. I don't know what it is. Yordan Alvarez hit 418 over the course of a month.
Well, he probably hit about 750 or 750 against the Mets.
Right, but he hit 418 over the course of an entire month. That's just, I got nothing. I got nothing.
That dude is nuts.
Golly. All right, but yeah. Anyways, back to the Mets.
But so I think, all right, so let's say you add a Trey Mancini.
Right.
I mean, you're probably still going Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso.
Yeah,
McNeil.
that top four is set.
I think you're probably, I mean, with McNeil hitting 5 when he's in the lineup more recently, I think Bucks finally realized, yeah, you can't like have him as some lineup extender in the 8-hole because you're giving up outs with JD, Dom.
It's
Escobar,
nice to expand the lineup like that and give it more length, but you want to have your top guys batting when there's guys on second and third with 2 outs.
Right.
And so when it's JD Davis, let's be honest, it's a ground ball to shortstop waiting to happen.
Yeah. So I think you probably go the same top 5 with McNeil as your 5. Probably slide Mancini in as your DH at 6.
I like it.
Then just go with Canha, Guillorme, your catcher.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to address catcher. I think if anything, maybe you try and call San Francisco on rough. But even then, you just have too much money tied
Ruff
up in
hasn't played catcher in like 4 years.
Yeah, and even that's the thing though, is he would by default probably be the best. I mean, they're not going to go for Contreras.
I doubt it because I feel
There's
like
just too much money tied up in McCann. I mean, I
Now,
know it's
here's the
Uncle
thought, though.
Steve. He's got all his pockets.
Here's the thought, though.
You're gonna have to like package Mauricio with McCann to get him out of town.
That was gonna be my question.
And I don't do that.
If you get Contreras and you trade McCann, you're then saying Contreras is here for the end of the year, and opening day 2023, Francisco Alvarez is in town.
That's a bad mindset to have. Because
that's just kind of
Alvarez could turn around and start hitting and could hit 150 for the rest of this year and not leave Binghamton.
Right.
Like I think you don't bank on absolutes until they're in front of your face.
Right.
So I just think that wouldn't be the best route to go down for them.
Right.
And it's not even that. Well, it is that, but then you also have the fact that Contreras is just going to then turn around and walk. So if Alvarez isn't ready, are you running Nito and Mazzicco out there? Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now you're just shit out of luck. And now you're somehow in a worse spot than you were with James McCann.
Right.
Because now you literally have no catcher.
Right.
So, I mean, I like the idea of like a Mancini and a Lopez. I wouldn't be shocked if they try and go with a bat and then a reliever. I mean, they could go balls to the wall all in and ask Pittsburgh what they need for Reynolds and Bednar.
Yeah, I think
I don't know how well that would work, because then you're probably DHing Mark Canha, or have some rotating door of, all right, give Marte's legs a day, give Nimmo's legs a day, give Reynolds legs a day. I don't know how they would work that. I think that's like, all right.
Oh, Edwin Diaz, reliever of the month. I'm sorry to cut you off there, guy, but it just they're revealing all this stuff right now, and Edwin Diaz won National League reliever of the month. So congratulations, Edwin Diaz. I think that's the first player of the month that the Mets have had this year. I know Lindor won player of the week. I don't think they've had any players of the month.
Who was the starting pitch? Who was the pitcher of the month in April? Was it McGill?
No, definitely not.
That would have been the only other one, was McGill, because of his start.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to your point of getting Reynolds and Bednar. I kind of like what Pittsburgh's doing, though, man.
Being awful?
They're bad. But they got some good pieces for the future.
Sure, but they just had a reliever in one inning the other day throw 48 pitches, and there was no one else up behind them.
Yeah, no, I feel bad for that kid.
There's nothing that's going to come out. I mean, they're 31 and 46. Nothing good is coming out of Pittsburgh this year. I mean, even pieces you expected to be good just haven't been good.
But you gave Reynolds...
I mean, Keller, we came into the year with seeing videos of Mitch Keller going from like 94, 95 to hitting 100 with an insane cutter, and he has a 5.14.
Yeah, he's bad.
I mean, Brian Hayes has been underwhelming at the plate. Just not what you'd expect. I mean, a 689 OPS.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing they really have going for them is Jack Swinsky and his 760 OPS.
They just got a bunch of guys in three home run games just out of nowhere.
But no, I will say if Mets management is really deciding, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna go for it, I think that's your move.
I love Brian Reynolds, so I'm not gonna say no.
I think your move is Reynolds and Bednar. Maybe not. I don't see it happening either. But I think if management decides we're not doing this, we're not letting Atlanta do this to us again, I think that's your move, because Bednar is a step below an Edwin Diaz right now.
He's incredible.
And
he can go multiple innings.
Right. And we've seen what Jeremy Hefner can do and the Mets pitching infrastructure can do with pitchers who have the stuff but haven't. Not that Bednar hasn't pieced it together. But like, it's not like this is his rookie year.
Yeah.
He has been bad elsewhere before.
Right. There's a reason why he's on like his third team or something like that.
Yeah, he was in San Diego for a couple of years and wasn't good.
Right.
But no, I think if management decides we're not doing this shit again, I think Reynolds and Bednar is your move, and you DH Canha, you do whatever. I mean, you figure it out.
So,
Shit. Maybe
yeah.
you give Mark Canha a 2-week gauntlet at first base and start DHing Pete.
Maybe.
He can't be any worse than when they ran McCann out at first base.
I mean, McCann at first base is Gold Glover, so you watch your mouth. He made the one diving play.
Ruined his hat, smashed his face into the ground.
That's a good point.
I'm gonna throw this out right now.
Go for it. Yeah, like they gave Reynolds a 2-year extension. So he has this year at 6.75 million, next year at 6.75 million, then he's got 2 more years under arbitration. So if you acquire Brian Reynolds, you're getting 4 years of him, and he is
top 5 center fielder in baseball.
He's a top 5 center fielder in baseball. If you looked at his OPS over the past couple of years, among all center fielders, there's Mike Trout, Byron Buxton, Brian Reynolds,
Brandon Nimmo.
he's probably somewhere on that list.
He's probably not too far below. But no, I mean,
he draws walks. He plays. And that's listen.
I would be willing.
Nimmo. We love Brandon Nimmo.
I would be willing to move anyone but Francisco Alvarez in that deal.
But Brian Reynolds is a Gold Glove caliber center fielder. So you're getting great defense. You're getting a damn good bat, a switch hitter, hits for contact, hits for power. He'll drive in some runs. And you'll have him for minimum 4 years. And that's something to take into account because we don't know. We want him here, but we don't know if Brandon Nimmo is going to be on the team next year. We don't know that.
No, I mean, he's a Boris client. He's going to hit the market.
Of course. I don't think Brian Reynolds happens. I don't think they trade him at all. Because, again, if you look at what Pittsburgh's doing, they have Reynolds, Brian Hayes. They just called up O'Neal Cruz. Roansy Contreras has come up, and besides the start yesterday, he's been solid. They have some arms in the bullpen. Like, they're a ways away. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think what they have is as bad as their record shows.
But if Billy Epler comes calling,
you answer the phone. Listen,
and says, "I'll give you," and it says this deal starts with Brett Beatty and Alex Ramirez. Let's talk.
You give up Brett Beatty.
I'd give up anyone but Alvarez in that deal. Absolutely, wow. I'd give up Brett Beatty. Absolutely.
I respect it.
Because the Mets are at a point now where if you want to be the Dodgers, if you want to beat the Dodgers, you have to figure out how to become the Dodgers.
He did say he wants to be the East Coast Dodgers.
And part of that is taking your strong player development system that is churning out top prospects and moving them for premier players.
Right.
And even then, what's Jeter Downs doing for the Red Sox?
Dick.
Alex Verdugo has been good. Had a great year last year. He's been good this year.
I did not realize how much control David Bednar has left.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
My God. Hold the phone. David Bednar, including this year, has 5 years of control. I'm sorry. He's making $700,000 this year.
And the other thing is,
he hasn't even hit arbitration yet.
You now have two guys in Bednar and Reynolds who fill in positions where you have premier players set to hit the market.
I might need to rethink this a little bit.
You ready for the hottest take you're ever going to get out of me?
Yeah.
And if I get this right, I'm fucking living, man. If I get this right, I'm splurging in Canada. I don't know what I'm doing.
Go for it. You're going to Canada?
Yeah, end of the month for the deadline, actually.
Oh, come on, man. That's your busy season. You're going to be in Canada.
The Mets' deadline move.
Okay.
Will be Brian Reynolds and David Bednar. And that deal is going to start with Brett Beatty and Alex Ramirez.
Wow. Wow.
Because if you want to talk about putting yourself over the top, the Mets are really starting to like using Diaz in the eighth. Oh, no. Who did we go to after? Fucking David Bednar coming in and blowing 99 by people's dick. I mean, you can go Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, Reynolds, McNeil. That's
You
and
can
then you're
even put
slotting.
you can even put Reynolds at the 2 spot.
You can put
That
him
Marte
2,
fifth.
3, 5,
You
6.
can put Reynolds
1.
anywhere.
You can get Reynolds anywhere. I'm telling you, man, that's your move. That will be
into this. Don't Jack White. Don't talk me into this move. I shouldn't need to be convinced to acquire one of my favorite players in baseball. He gives you a reason to watch the Pirates.
You know what? Sometimes
Wow.
I'm willing to move.
You son of a bitch.
I think I think you move anyone but Alvarez in that deal. I mean, I think you even go like a quantity over quality approach.
Like how the Dodgers got Machado. Again, going back to the Dodgers.
Right. If they're like, no, we need Alvarez, and you're like, we'll start with Beatty, Ramirez, Vassell.
Right.
Instead of starting at Alvarez.
Because again, if you want to be like the Dodgers, you need to learn how to be like the Dodgers. And let's go back to just last year. I think we saw one of Trey Turner or Scherzer being potentially being on the move, but we did not see both of them being in the same deal. Did you see the Dodgers acquiring both Trey Turner and Max Scherzer? Was that on your bingo card last year? I don't think that was on anyone's bingo card. I didn't think that was possible. Again, maybe Scherzer because he was an expiring deal, but I don't think anyone saw Trey Turner being moved until this year. But they put their dick on the table. They gave up their top guys. They gave up Josiah Gray. They gave up Keibert Ruiz. There are a couple other guys in there, but those were the blue chip guys. And granted, Bednar and Reynolds have far more control than those guys do. I mean, hell, Reynolds has more control than those guys did combined. But to acquire some premier talent, you're going to have to spend a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't like you right now.
You're welcome.
God damn.
So we'll transition that into talking prospects.
Like, here I am thinking, oh, yeah. Like, my prediction was by the next time we record, the Mets are going to make a trade. I thought they were going to go for, like, a reliever, like a Jorge Lopez, or like a Tanner Scott. Like, someone to just kind of fill out the bullpen and send Chase and Shreve to Pluto. But now I'm thinking, they're going to get Brian Reynolds and David Bednar. Looks pretty good. That's just not going to happen. I do agree with you that they're not going to get Contreras. I don't see that happening. I think they ride it out with. I think they ride out this season with McCann, and then I think they entertain trades for him in the offseason.
Well, the thing is, you're going to have to. I think if anything, you move Nito, hold on to McCann. Because if there's a case where Alvarez comes up and just blows out his ass,
right?
I feel better running McCann out there every day than I do Nito.
I would agree.
Even purely speaking defensively and understanding pitchers.
Yeah.
And I think, we've seen a lot this year. The pitchers love McCann. And they love working with him. And that wouldn't be a bad guy to sit there with Alvarez. I mean, it's like keeping the veteran backup when you have the rookie first round pick coming in.
Right. And I was going to say, would you really pay your backup catcher $10 million? But yeah,
I think McCann could absolutely like turn into what was his name? He was a Jets backup for a couple years. They went to the Eagles. He's a coach. McCown.
Oh, sure.
McCann could absolutely have like a Josh McCown type end of his career. Just bounce around, work with younger guys. I mean, as long as he doesn't go full on Ryan Tannehill and say I don't have to teach him dick, then he's probably fine.
Which I don't think we'll ever see him do.
No, he seems like such a great guy.
Yeah.
All right, prospects.
Go for it. This is all you because you're at the game yesterday.
Yeah, Alex Ramirez had a huge night. Hit 415-foot bomb, 105 off the bat.
2003.
Tripled up the alley. He's starting to walk more. We were talking about it before we came on. I think a lot of times when you have these like international free agents signing like the high end guys, there's a very old albeit outdated saying, putting that warning out before I say it, but the phrase is you can't walk off the island.
Mm-hmm.
So you're, taking your walks isn't going to get you off the island to play in the States. It's just the way the old, outdated and slightly racist saying goes. So, but I think it's a big thing people have been saying about Mauricio for years. Is when he develops the eye, when he develops the eye, when he develops the eye, and he just never did. But like his last 20-ish games, I mean, entering last night, over his last 17 games, I just saw the clip of the Dodgers catcher trying to throw to third and nailing Travis d'Arnaud. Good job, Will Smith. Oh, d'Arnaud knew it was coming too. But see if he was a Met, he gets a concussion on that. But I think over his last 17 games, entering last night, he had 15 walks and 17 strikeouts, and then he walked again last night. So, it's just, I think a huge part of seeing these guys develop is, when they figure out, just get on base, man.
Right.
You don't have to try and push. If you got 2-2 pitch, you don't have to try and push that pitch out of the zone into right center.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try and get a slapstick single. You can take your walks.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a guy like Ramirez, who you might want to who might end up profiling as a leadoff guy if he can develop the eye.
Sure.
If he can develop the eye, the hit stick's there, the speed is there. That's speed, eye, contact. That's what you look for at the leadoff spot. So, or at least traditionally, speed depends on the team.
Sure.
But, a good eye and contact. But that's the problem a lot of these guys have is there is no eye. It's all a contact power-based approach. So, starting to develop that eye is a huge step for it. But I think we're kind of nearing that time of the year when these guys are going to make the jump up.
Yeah.
I think it was right before the Futures game last year, Alvarez and Beatty went from Brooklyn to Binghamton.
Sounds about right.
So I wouldn't be shocked if this year we get Alvarez and Beatty and probably Mauricio going up to Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like, maybe a JT Schwartz going up to Double-A. He's been impressive in Brooklyn as of late. I mean, just no one's really performing there. I mean, I don't know if you ever check out the Brooklyn Cyclones, but Jalen Palmer's been atrocious.
Oof.
Jose Peroza has not been good. Shervian Newton hasn't been good there. Justin Guerrera just has not been pretty offensively. But Newton's been basically the lone bright spot.
So some prospects doing well, some not so much.
I mean, I think that the huge thing right now is Ramirez is developing the eye, and Mauricio's developing some pop, man. I mean, I think he hit 7 or 8 last year, but I think he's at 12, or he might have hit 12 last year, and he's at 12 already this year.
Excuse me. I always saw 20 homer potential out of that guy.
I mean, I think he just sometimes gets lost because he was the top guy for so long. Then you add a Brett Beatty, then you add a Francisco Alvarez, and then Mark Vientos starts to put it all together, and then you draft Matt Allen.
Yeah.
Now you have Alex Ramirez not coming out of nowhere, but finally taking that big step. But so I remember Mauricio gets lost on sometimes. Because, I mean, to be fair, I think after his promotion last year, when he went up to Binghamton, he crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
He crushed it, but it was only 8 games. In 100 games in Brooklyn, he put up a 739 OPS.
Right.
I was totally wrong. He had 20 homers last year.
Oh.
But he's at 14 already this year.
Okay.
Seasons do go into September now. They don't end at the end of August.
Right.
So I mean, it'll be interesting because I think you're also at a point now where you don't want these guys to start to get exposed in game.
Right.
Because you can look at the profiles, all the tape, all the footage, all you want. But when you watching a guy in a cage, watching their footage and all that is not nearly the same as seeing them in a game present day. I mean, whenever I'm down in St. Lucie, it's full of scouts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, home plate is just chocked full of scouts.
Oh, yeah. Especially
I saw
for several reasons, I'm sure.
When it was
I'm
Jackson
sure it's
Jobe
Mets scouts seeing how their guys are doing. Do they want to call them up? Do they want to call them up to the next level, put them up into the big leagues? And I'm sure it's scouts from opposing teams. There's definitely guys from Cincinnati, Oakland, Pittsburgh, all Kansas City seeing what kind of talent they potentially get in return at the deadline.
I was there the first series I was there. It was Jackson Joe pitched for Lakeland, third overall pick last year, and I counted I think 9 or 10 scouts behind the plate. And Carson Seymour ended up pitching a better game than Job did. But it's also shit like that. Like Detroit might be there watching their own guy. Lakeland's not a terribly far drive from St. Lucie.
Right.
But next thing you know, you're like, all right, wait a minute. We're going to sell. This kid looks great.
Yeah.
So I'm sure tonight might be Ziegler for the Mets. If it's Ziegler or Hamill, I'm sure there'll be scouts there.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to start asking around, just seeing what's up and what they're there for. But it's that time of the year, man. I remember Cub scouts some of them might have had apartments in St. Lucie for a month.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Because I remember reading every other homestand. Sources tell Mesmerized Cub Scouts are in attendance in St. Lucie tonight. Cub Scouts are in St. Lucie. Cub Scouts are in St. Lucie. Then they end up making the biggest deal of the deadline was Baez and the Mets.
Right.
So these things do hold true.
Absolutely.
So
this is the time where we start.
Sunday itself will be its own animal.
We're already seeing some whispers of like trade rumors, who is being linked to where.
I think you're also now getting a better understanding of where these guys stand overall. Because I might watch someone and be like, that's not what I saw.
Right.
Like that like I do not see the same thing you see when I watch this guy pitch.
Right.
But you're having a better understanding of where these guys stand organizationally. Like we're at a point now where Mike Vassal's probably a top 10 prospect the Mets have.
I think so.
But he was not that coming into the year.
No.
But now he looks like he did when he was a huge high school prospect before his major shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
So it's night and day. So, but I think like being there and being in the park, I think especially when I'm here the 12th and through the 14th, those are going to be huge indicators of what's going on. I'm going to try and get down on the field today pregame.
12th and 14th. That's going to be a packed house because I think that's right around the All-Star break. So there's not going to be as many games going on or might be no games going on, depending if it is at the break. I forget the exact day.
I don't know what the capacity is at Clover Park, but they're going to reach it tomorrow night.
Because, at that point, you're also going to be about 2 weeks out from the deadline.
And that's the point I'm making, yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's going to be huge.
No. Yeah. Again, like Cubs prospects.
You're going to be on Hug Watch.
Khalil Watson randomly left the game early last night.
I wanted to check in on that, but I never did.
I didn't see him in the dugout again after. He left the game early, and then he hit an absolute tank. The wind was howling in to start the game. Then he parked one 380 in right field. But I'll keep an eye out for that tonight, see if I can spot him. But no, we are going to be on. We're going to be on a Hug Watch down here in St. Lucie. If Khalil Watson is not in the game tonight, I will put him on a Hug Watch.
Trying to find something.
I didn't.
To be fair, and credit to you, I looked up his name, and the first thing that comes up was your tweet. So,
yeah, there you go.
I'm not seeing anything. Top thing is that he's apparently swinging and missing a lot. But I'm not seeing anything in terms of injuries. I'm not seeing anything about trade speculation. I doubt that they're not trading him. That'd be straight up insane. Yeah, I don't know. Could have just tweaked something.
Maybe. I'm going to keep an eye on it tonight.
Yeah.
And just see what's going on out there. But, it's just, that weekend's going to be a big one. That's going to be a go down, shake hands. Hey, I'm Jack Ramsey. I write for a website. Who are you here with?
Yeah. So, what's going on?
Who are you watching tonight?
What are those notes you're taking down there?
Tigers. Oh, sending Baez back?
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to.
Michael Fulmer. Huh. Interesting.
That would be a guy. They almost got Fulmer last year.
Yeah.
The Mets were telling people they were going to get a reliever before the deadline. And it was either going to be Fulmer or they're going to try and pry Iglesias from the Angels.
Well, I'll tell you right now. I want nothing to do with Raisel Iglesias after the act that he put on that.
That was so funny. I'm sorry, but him chucking sunflower seeds on the field made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah, it pissed me off.
No, it was stupid and childish, but it was so funny.
And then the yak that he did in the dugout, like, dude, I lost so much respect for him. My
Hot takes.
problem with Detroit, and when it comes with reliever trades for me this year, the mindset I'm having is you're getting a reliever as well as someone in return. So like you're getting either a starter and a reliever. You're getting a position player and a reliever. You're not just getting relievers because I feel like maybe that's just me in the mindset that I have, but I'd want like we were talking before, a Mancini and a Lopez. I'd want a Bednar and a Reynolds, or a Bednar and a JT Brubaker, or someone to just eat innings. Like I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah.
A Scott Barlow and a Zach Greinke. You know what I mean? So I'd
No,
want
and
a package
if they
in
do
there.
go get a reliever, it's going to be cash. Player to be named later.
Right.
Daniel Palka.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be something incredibly minute.
Yeah. I wonder, and man, I need to stop thinking these things because then I'm just going to want it to happen. If the White Sox keep falling, I'd make some calls about Kendall Graveman.
I would probably try and angle something for Graveman and Pollock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just think no one on the infield is going to be obtainable.
No.
No one that's worth making the move for will be obtainable. Gavin Sheets won't be.
They might
Tim Anderson's
about
out.
Moncada, but that's not going to happen.
But no, even that's going to be an arm and a leg.
Right.
Right, and that's a reclamation project at this point. An expensive one with major upside.
Incredible upside, but it's just not happening. It has nothing's been put. He's
that would
shown
be
some
like
flashes, but my God, has he been bad this year?
I think if anything, that's something like a team like this in a spot of Washington or Pittsburgh might do.
Right, absolutely.
Like you have nothing else to lose. If he sucks, whatever.
Yoan Moncada this year is hitting 176, negative 0.3 WAR, a OPS plus of 44.
That is very not good.
That's atrocious.
That is very not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yikes. Yeah, just
I don't know if there's anything else we wanted to touch on this one. I would also like to thank you for not bringing up the names Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving for this episode.
Yeah, I'm letting it slide.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I've been there. I've done the Kyrie cycle.
Yeah,
It's gonna be funny when they can't find a good deal for him and they get a haul for Durant. I mean that package for Kevin Durant is going to be the maximum first round picks allowed by the CBA. I think it's like 4 picks and 3 swaps.
Yeah.
Although I did like the framework before they said that Utah was going to build around Donovan Mitchell. I did like the framework of Durant to Phoenix, Ayton to Utah, Mitchell to the Nets.
Right.
I did like that framework a lot. Because, I mean, I think if you're just Mitchell and Kyrie would be a shit show. I think you'd have to then turn around and move Kyrie to the Lakers and try and figure something else out there. But the Lakers aren't going to be good next year, even with Kyrie.
What an unserious franchise the Nets are.
But I think they're in. I think this is better than when they moved. Than when they had to tear down after Paul Pierce, Kevin Durant, Ray Allen, all that.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely a better spot than that, because at least you're going to get mammoth picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the picks are definitely worth more now than they used to be.
Yeah.
And even then, like if you do end up moving Kyrie to the Lakers still aren't going to be good. So those picks will be better.
They're not a good team.
No. And Kyrie's going to miss half the year.
Right.
Because he's always hurt.
Or some crap.
Right. And I think you could easily move Kyrie to the Lakers without being involved in taking on Westbrook. At that point, you just add in a 13. You know, fucking ship them to Detroit. Send them back to Washington.
Yeah.
Man, I forgot he was a Wizard.
I'll take Beal, but whatever.
There you go.
So we'll end on a quick question here, because on your thing that I retweeted from our account, we did get one response. What do you predict it would cost the Mets to make this trade prospect-wise? So
if you're straight up looking at David Bednar, Brian Reynolds, I think you're probably looking at Beatty, Ramirez, Vassell.
I think they probably want like Matt Allen in there too.
No. Because Allen and Vassell are fairly close right now. Just because Allen's, I've heard like his rehab is radio silence right now. I know he's at the complex rehabbing,
right?
But I've heard nothing about progress. You know, not pitching in for 2 years is not good for your prospect status.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I think you're probably looking at 3 organizational top 10s and some other guys below that who do have like a Stanley Consuegra, a JT Schwartz. I think you're probably looking at 2 top guys. I mean, you can either go the route of 2 top guys and then 3, 4, 5 guys below that, or you can just go Beatty, Mauricio, Vassell, Ramirez. Just get it done. Gut the top end, get it done. So, I mean, it really depends. I mean, that's going to be a mammoth price.
All right. I said we ended on that.
I mean, I think more realistic.
I don't know how else you could possibly end this one.
I mean, I think I'll end it with the realistic.
Okay.
Is Mancini Lopez.
I think that's probably the most realistic.
I mean, the Mets and O's match up well. They always match up well at the deadline.
Right. Plus,
they always have.
Who managed Trey Mancini I'm pretty sure Mancini has been very outspoken about how much he loved Buck. So,
no, I think Mancini is even in a spot enough just as a guy being through what he's been through. He could probably be like, look, let's try and get me here.
I remember seeing something like as the year was about to start that management was said we're trading Trey Mancini at some point this year. So,
no, I mean at some point you just got to give Ryan Mountcastle the reins.
Right.
He's good.
For sure.
No, I think that's realistic. I think the balls to the wall, go all in, Max Scherzer level move is the Brian Reynolds, David Bednar. And at that point, you've got the system. Or maybe it even ends up being like like a Peterson's going back in that package. Maybe a McGill's going back in that package. I mean, I think for guys like that, you have to think more like NBA terms of, think of prospects as picks. And think of, the younger rotation guys like the Peyton Pritchard, or not the Peyton Pritchard, the Aaron Neesmith that just went from Boston to Indiana.
Right.
Like that might be like you're going to go Beatty, Mauricio, Vassell, Peter, McGill. And
then correct me if I'm wrong, but starting next year, you could start trading picks, correct? With the new CBA?
I don't think that ever got added to the CBA.
Oh, I thought it did.
I don't. That might be part of.
Much interesting.
Well, that would really tell you how much teams value first round picks.
Right.
Some teams don't.
Sure.
Or not the way you think they do.
Right.
Obviously, they're all valuable, but like if you're a team and yeah, dude, we can pick up a dude in the 5th who fits our mold, and he'll be a top 100 guy in 3 years. No, or even like Houston. Houston took Yordan Alvarez from nothing to an MVP.
Yeah.
Got him for Josh Fields. Probably fucking selling insurance right now.
You have look at their roster, and I forgot who it was. Someone put out there. It was such a great stat that Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, and Yordan Alvarez cost like $700,000 combined. It's like,
no, they have for the last 10, 15 years had the best. I mean, really, since they tore it down,
right,
and committed to losing 100 games a year, their player development has been probably the best in sports.
It's been incredible.
I mean, it's like on the same level of like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, like pulling a random white dude out of a Dunkin' and turning him into an all-pro slot receiver.
Right.
Like it's just insane.
Just churning just studs out left and right. It's incredible.
It's nuts. I mean, Miles Straw. I mean, he just comes up as like a toolsy speed defense center fielder, turns into a legit center fielder for a World Series champion.
Yeah.
I think people also forget it's hard to develop first round picks.
It takes time.
But how many they hit on?
Yeah, no.
They hit on all of them. They hit on all of them. I mean, I promise you, Corey Lee in like 4 years is gonna be like a top 3 catcher in baseball.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him.
I mean, like if you could probably go back and look at I think the one guy that they didn't hit on was like JB Buskauskas.
Oh, he's not even in the system anymore. It turned out to
No.
Zach Greinke. Was it?
Yeah.
No. Who was
No, he went to the Diamondbacks.
Right. For who?
Shit, someone.
What was that?
I forget. And the only reason Forrest Whitley hasn't worked out is because he's always hurt.
He's always hurt.
But that's nothing that like you can really do about that. But no, I think you're right. Leave it at that. I gotta get ready to go into the ballpark.
All right, man.
It is 4:04. I gotta be out of here by like 4:45 to get.
Trying to give one a little prediction here, or trying to just end it off here? Because again, I already
Jacob
said mine,
deGrom's first ballpark pitch will hit 102.
Jesus Christ.
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think
He's
that's
not
the type
gonna hold
of.
back.
No, I mean, do you remember that article from a couple years ago where it's like he doesn't bench, he eats McDonald's?
Yeah, it's the best.
Like, no wonder that dude's always hurt. But like,
Yeah.
no, his first ballpark pitch is gonna hit 102.
All right.
And I will have it on video.
By the next time we record, the Mets will make a trade.
Brian Reynolds gonna look so good in blue and orange.
Stop it.
All right.
All right, man. Well, as always, it's Jack Ramsey. It's Antonio Slater. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Amazin City. And I mean,
subscribe to the YouTube, man.
And please subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube, please, and thank you. Who knows? Maybe Jack will post the deGrom's first pitch on the YouTube channel. Who knows?
I'll get some content to you.
There you go. Subscribe. As always, LFGM.